Before she died, Mary Tyler Moore said the 5 actors she hated the most. Mary Tyler Moore was born on December 29, 1936, in Brooklyn, New York. She grew up in a normal, average family before her parents moved to Los Angeles when she was 8 years old. The move to California was very important because it put her close to the movie and TV world, where she would later become a huge star. As a kid, Mary was quiet but loved the arts, especially dance and performing. Her first big dream was to be a dancer, and she took ballet lessons with lots of excitement. Her first taste of being famous came not from acting, but from being on TV commercials, most famously as a dancing elf named Happy Hot Point in ads from the 1950s. This fun and silly job introduced her to the TV world that would later make her a star everyone knew. Mary Tyler Moore's big break happened in 1961 when she got the part of Laura Petrie, the lively wife of Dick Van Dyke on The Dick Van Dyke Show. The show, which was on TV from 1961 to 1966, let everyone see how funny she was and how she used her face and timing to make jokes land perfectly. Her character Laura was new and different for that time. Unlike many TV wives from the early 1960s, Moore's character could think for herself, was funny, smart, and would sometimes disagree with her husband. Her choice to wear capri pants on the show, a small but important fashion decision, helped change how people saw modern American women on television. The way Moore and Van Dyke acted together was amazing, and people watching quickly loved them as a real and caring couple. For her work on the show, Moore won 2 Emmy Awards, and it made her a huge star, one of the most talented and likable actresses on TV. After the Dick Van Dyke Show, many people thought Moore's career would get quieter, but she proved them all wrong. In 1970, she came back to television in a part that would totally change American comedy shows, Mary Richards on The Mary Tyler Moore Show. As a single woman focused on her job as a producer at a Minneapolis TV news station, Mary Richards was a totally new kind of woman for TV. She was independent, sure of herself, and cared more about her career than getting married. The show was a big deal, mixing comedy with smart ideas about women's rights, fairness at work, and growing as a person. Its famous opening, where Moore throws her hat in the air, became a sign of girl power and hope. The show not only made her a legend, but also made many women feel they could follow their dreams. Moore won 4 more Emmy Awards for the show, and it is still thought of as one of the best comedy shows ever on TV. Besides her huge success on TV, Mary Tyler Moore also did very well in movies and theater. She was nominated for an Academy Award for her amazing performance as a cold mother in Ordinary People, 1980, which was directed by Robert Redford. This serious role shocked people who only knew her from comedy, and it showed everyone how deep and talented she really was. Moore was also in other movies like Thoroughly Modern Millie, 1967, and Change of Habit, 1969, where she acted with Elvis Presley. On Broadway, she showed how versatile she was in plays like Whose Life Is It Anyway and The Gin Game. In all these different roles, she showed a special skill for mixing humor, deep feeling, and sensitivity in a way that really touched people's hearts. Away from her acting life, Mary Tyler Moore worked very hard for animal rights and for research into diabetes. She found out she had type 1 diabetes when she was in her early 30s, and she used her fame to teach people about the disease. She was the international chairperson for the Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation for many, many years. Her honesty about her own problems helped make it less embarrassing to have a long-term sickness and gave hope to millions of people dealing with the same thing. She was also a very strong supporter for animals, speaking out against cruelty and helping charities that were kind to animals. Her giving and caring heart reached far beyond her acting, leaving behind a story of kindness and caring for others. Mary Tyler Moore's own life was as interesting as her amazing career, and her marriages showed the different times of her life as she grew up as a woman and a star, She was married 3 times, and each marriage helped shape her feelings, her career choices, and even how fans saw her when she wasn't on TV. Her first marriage was to Richard Murr. She married him in 1955 when she was only 18 years old and still hoping for a big chance in show business. Murr was much older and had a regular job, which made Mary feel safe during her shaky early years in Hollywood. The couple had a son, Richard Murr Jr., in 1956, and Mary often said that being a mom so young was both happy and really hard. But as her career started to get big in the late 1950s and early 1960s, with her first TV jobs leading to her part as Laura Petrie on the Dick Van Dyke Show, the stress of being famous, being a mom, and her own dreams was too much for the marriage. They got a divorce in 1962, but they stayed friendly. Sadly, many years later, Mary would have a terrible loss when her son Richard died in 1980 from an accident with a gun. He was only 24 years old. This sad event changed her life forever and made her understand other people's sadness more. That same year, she divorced Richard Murr. Mary then married Grant Tinker, a TV boss who helped her make some of the biggest decisions of her career. They got married in 1962, and their relationship was both romantic and a business team. Tinker really believed in Mary's talent and smarts, and together they started MTM Enterprises, the company that made The Mary Tyler Moore Show, one of the most important comedy shows ever on TV. The show's success made Moore a symbol for women's independence, showing a new age of women who could be their own person. Tinker's business smarts and Mary's artistic ideas made them one of Hollywood's most important couples all through the 1970s. But even though everyone thought they were happy, their marriage started to fall apart because of the stress of fame, work, and Moore's own problems with alcohol and diabetes. By 1981, the marriage ended in divorce, though both of them later said they still liked and respected each other. Tinker later became the boss of NBC, while Mary kept acting, taking on more serious parts that made critics praise her. After a few years of working on her health, her career, and getting better personally, Mary found love again with Dr. Robert Levine, a heart doctor who was 16 years younger than her. They met in 1982 when Levine was helping Mary's mother, and they quickly became close in a relationship that was all about taking care of each other and understanding. The two got married in 1983, and this third marriage was her longest and most steady. Because Levine was a doctor, he helped Mary deal with her long fight with type 1 diabetes, and he became not just her husband, but also her main helper and best friend. The couple lived a calm life together, spending time in both New York and Connecticut, away from the busy life of Hollywood. Different from her other marriages, Mary's marriage to Levine was full of emotional peace, shared kindness, and lasting love. They stayed married until she died in 2017, which shows how much love and support helped her in her later years. During her long and famous career, Mary Tyler Moore became one of America's most loved TV stars, known for her class, intelligence, and being the first to do many things on screen. From the Dick Van Dyke Show to the Mary Tyler Moore Show, she seemed warm and professional, which made her a star in every home. But when the cameras were off, the world of show business wasn't always as nice or friendly as it looked. When she was older, Moore supposedly told people how she really felt about some of the people she worked with, specifically 5 actors she had really bad times with. According to Glenn Corbett, a good friend who she talked to a lot when she was older, Mary was very, very honest. She didn't like to act like everyone she met was wonderful. These stories gave a special look at the private annoyances of a woman who was usually known for being graceful and calm. The first name on Mary Tyler Moore's list was Rosemary, who acted with her on the Dick Van Dyke Show. While people watching loved how they acted together, the truth was much less friendly. Rosemary, an older actress who was very sharp and strong, often argued with Moore over who got the most attention. Moore, who was younger and newer to TV, felt that Rosemary often acted like she didn't belong. Corbett remembered, "Mary told me that Rosemary always made sure everyone knew she had been in show business longer." Even though they acted professionally together, Moore said she felt the mood was tight and like a competition, especially when the show first started. After a while, they worked together a little better, but the cold feeling between them never totally went away. The second actor Moore talked about was James Garner, who she worked with for a short time on a TV project that never really happened. Garner was known for being relaxed and handsome, but Moore thought he was rude and hard to talk to. Mary said she thought he was talented, but that he was too much of a doubter. Corbett shared that she didn't like how he made mean jokes about the TV business and the people in it. Moore, who was very serious about her work, thought Garner's laid-back way of acting was almost like he didn't respect the job. Their ways of working were just too different. She was exact, a perfectionist, and cared about every little thing, while he was casual and did things without much planning. The difference in their personalities left a bad memory that stayed with her for years. Another name she mentioned was Ted Knight, her co-star on the Mary Tyler Moore Show. Knight's acting as the silly but funny Ted Baxter made him famous and got him good reviews, but when they weren't filming, things were not as happy. "Mary once told me that Ted could change his moods a lot," said Corbett. "He would get very upset if someone criticized him, and she often felt she had to be very careful around him. Their time working together had lots of arguments about how to say lines and what the character should do. Even though they knew the other was talented, Moore told her friend that she often felt very tired after days of dealing with Knight's worries. But she always acted like a professional, and people watching never knew there was any trouble between the two stars." The fourth person Moore supposedly had a hard time with was Richard Chamberlain, who she acted with early in her career in a TV movie. While Chamberlain was known for being charming and polite, Moore thought he was too focused on himself and ignored the women he acted with. "Mary told me she couldn't stand how Richard always made everything about himself." Corbett said if she had a thought about a scene, he would ignore it like it wasn't important. For a woman who was trying to be strong in a time when female stars were often not taken seriously, things like that really hurt. Moore felt that Chamberlain was an example of the kind of cocky man who was very common in Hollywood during the 1960s and 1970s. The last name Moore talked about was Dick Van Dyke himself, but not because she hated him, just because he sometimes made her upset. While she really liked and respected Van Dyke as an actor, their partnership wasn't always as easy as fans thought. "Mary told me she loved Dick, but they didn't always agree on things." Corbett explained that he could be very nice one minute and then very distant the next. Van Dyke's problems with drinking in the 1960s sometimes made it hard to work. Moore, who was always very professional, found it hard to work when her co-star wasn't focused or ready. Even with these problems, she never let her personal feelings ruin the great work they did together. After a while, the stress turned into them liking each other, and Van Dyke later talked about her with a lot of respect. Glenn Corbett, thinking about these talks, said that Moore's complaints didn't come from being mean, but from being a truthful person. Mary wasn't someone who held grudges. He said she was just a person who thought respect, hard work, and being real were very important. When she didn't get that from others, it upset her. Really, her story showed less about hate and more about the stress felt by a woman who was one of the first to do big things in Hollywood. Behind all the smiling and laughing, Mary Tyler Moore dealt with the same work fights and personal let-downs as anyone else trying to be the best. And in her honest stories, she gave us a special look at the real person behind the fame, where even the biggest stars have private problems, quiet angers, and truths that only come out when the bright lights turn off. Mary Tyler Moore died on January 25, 2017, at the age of 80 in Greenwich, Connecticut. Her death was the end of a special time, but people still remember her through the laughs, bravery, and hope she gave to millions. She was more than just a TV star. She was a trailblazer who showed what women could do in entertainment and in life. Her story keeps going in every tale about being independent, smart, and hopeful.